What is good, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel and my podcast. So, I just had an amazing interview with one of my clients, and something we talked about was how she's been effortlessly losing interest in her undesired story. And I thought I'd make a practical video about that because I haven't done a practical video in a while. So, let's get into it because I really want to talk about this because you ever notice how easy it is to lose interest in something when it stops feeling exciting. Like, for instance, that TV show that drags on too long, or that song that you played in your car a million times, you played it to death, or even a person or a new best friend or someone that you used to text all the time, see all the time until one day you just didn't. You looked up and you just stopped, right? And the same thing happens with the stories we tell ourselves about our lives, the ones that keep us stuck repeating those same cycles. But when you lose interest in the story, you guys, you have to understand, when you lose interest in the story, you stop living in it. And it's not about forcing yourself to let go. It's about shifting in that way that feels natural and effortless. So let's get into these 10 tips. So the first thing you have to do is look at your old story as boring, right? Your undesired story lingers because you're still giving it all of this massive importance. You're still reacting to it, still treating it like every time something comes up, something that you've seen before, something that you've reacted to before, every time you react like it's breaking news in your life. But what if you just stopped, you guys? What if you just simply stopped? Think of that TV show again. This is a TV show that you were obsessed with for a while, and at first you couldn't get enough of it. Then, little by little, it started losing its grip on you because the storylines became unpredictable, or you just moved on to another TV show that premiered and it just caught your attention and it was better. It was more engaging, it was more exciting. The storyline was much more better. So, you didn't have to force yourself to stop watching that old TV show. You just naturally stopped caring. And so that's what happens when you detach from an old story. It just becomes completely irrelevant, right? So look at that old story as it's boring. It should no longer have your interest, right? And you're stepping onto a new story that feels more exciting for you. So the second one is to shift your focus to what feels more alive. So you don't need to struggle to forget something. You just need to give your attention to something that excites you more. Again, this is not about figuring out what to do with the undesired. We're just moving our awareness. Remember, we're moving within the mind of the all. When you're doing that internal shift within yourself, you're putting your attention on the you that you would like to be. Or even if it's out here, something that you're doing, you're just going to move your attention onto something that may have a little bit more interest in you. So, you ever notice how when you get into something new, like a new hobby, a new passion, and this has been coming up for me recently. So, new hobbies, new passion, even a new relationship, new friendship, new friend groups, the things you used to dwell on, they just fade out. And it's not that you forced yourself to let those things go. It's that something that's perceived as better or more interesting took its place instead. So the next one is detach from the fixing mentality. We talked about this a lot of times, but I'm going to keep bringing it up because this is what it's about, you guys. It's not about doing anything about what you no longer desire. It's about just moving in the mind of the all, right? So, one of the biggest traps is thinking that you need to fix that problem before you can move on. But if you're trying to fix it, you're still engaged with it. That's why we're not doing anything about what we no longer prefer. We're letting it be because when you don't put your energy into it, it becomes dormant. That light, that I am awareness, that power that you're putting into it is taken away from that story. So it becomes dormant, right? And you're not lighting it up so that way it has no reason to exist. And if you're trying to fix it, you're still engaged with it. So you're still making it real, you're giving it life. So think about, if you're constantly asking, how do I fix this? How do I heal this? How do I make this go away? You're reinforcing the idea that it still has this power over you. But what if you simply didn't? Right? Again, back to the movies. Imagine watching a bad movie. Do you sit there trying to rewrite the script in your head? No, you walk out. You put on something better. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to stop participating in it. You have to stop participating in it with your emotions, with the thoughts you choose to think, with your awareness. You just have to stop participating in it, right? So, number four is normalize the desired state, you guys. Most people struggle with shifting because they put their desired state on a pedestal and they see it as this grand, distant thing that they have to earn or manifest instead of something that they can just step into. But the moment something feels normal to you, it becomes a part of your reality. And think about how you assume that the sun will rise tomorrow. You don't wake up hoping for it, you don't get excited about it, and you definitely don't doubt it. You just know that it's a given when you wake up that sun is going to be up. It's going to come up. You just go on about your day, never thinking about it because you expect it to. And that's how you want to feel about your new reality. It's not something that you're going to hope happens, but something that's already settled, done. It's already signed on the dotted line. You already got it. So you're waking up just like the sun will rise tomorrow. You know that you're waking up and it's just natural, normal thing for you to have your desires, because the more that you normalize it, the faster it solidifies, right? The faster it hardens into fact. So number five is the biggest one for a lot of people. Stop romanticizing the struggle. And here's the hard truth, you guys. Sometimes we keep engaging with an old story because deep down we like the drama. And I've been there before. Like, it was just a habit. Sometimes I don't think we realize this because it becomes a habit, right? So maybe it makes us feel this importance that, we get to fix something, we get to work something out, right? Or maybe we're attached to that identity that it gives us. Maybe we feel important if we have something that we feel a victim about. Or maybe we've convinced ourselves that we need to struggle to deserve that good stuff. But ask yourself, do I really want this? Or am I just comfortable with it? Is it normal to me? Sometimes it's normal for struggle for some of us, so we do things and we don't even realize it. And we're just romanticizing more of that struggle. We naturally gravitate to it because we're used to it. We've normalized it, right? So sometimes it's not the fact that, you don't want the struggle. Of course, you don't want the struggle, but you've made it such a normal thing in your life that your awareness always goes right back to it, right? So, how do you get out of it? You just stop normalizing it, right? And sometimes I have to tell you guys that I've been there. Peace feels weird when you've been used to all this chaos, but peace is where your power is. So you have to let yourself have it. You have to allow yourself to embrace it, right? So the sixth one is adopt that so what attitude, right? Thoughts about your old story pop up. So what? Triggers show up. Okay, so what? The moment you stop reacting, you stop enforcing that cycle. And it's like someone trying to argue with you while you're completely unbothered. Eventually, they're just going to give up. They're just going to stop because you're not putting any energy into it. You're not lighting that story up. You're just letting it be, right? Again, you don't have to fight that old story. You just meet it with indifference, and that's what dissolves it. So, number seven, this is my favorite one. When in doubt, look at I am. And I tell you this all of the time. One of my favorite quotes from Neil Donald Walsh is, to dissolve a problem, look at God. But what does that mean? It means to stop looking at the illusion and look at the source. That means look at you, look within you. Before any story, any identity, or any limitation, you exist. You are that awareness itself. And that awareness is the power, the power source behind all things. So think about it. Every single problem you've ever had has only existed because you were aware of it. And that means the real power isn't in the problem, it's in the one perceiving the problem, and that's you. So instead of trying to fix that illusion, again, step back and remember who you are because you're not bound by any of it, right? And so, number eight, you have to live as if it's already handled, and ask yourself, what if that thing you're worried about, what if it was already solved? Sometimes I think we think that we have these problems and then that there's no solution with it. But every time there's something that presents itself, whether it's something that's favorable or unfavorable. If it's something favorable, the unfavorable also comes along with it. When it's unfavorable, the positive thing comes along with it. So if it's a problem, the solution is already made. And if it's a wonderful thing, something that can destroy it is also presented as well, you guys. Remember, I am, all things are welcome to exist. It's just about what we're putting our awareness on. So, would you still be obsessing over it? Still checking the signs, still questioning? You probably wouldn't. You would be unbothered living your life if you lived as if it's already handled, right? So you have to start showing up as you, as that version that's already moved on. And that version isn't debating whether or not to let go, because guess what? They already did, right? The fastest way to embody something is just to assume that you are already it, guys. So, number 9, you have to trust the shift, even if it feels subtle. And this is a good one. Shifting out of an old story doesn't always come with these fireworks or this big sign saying, I finally arrived, or this feeling that you're waiting to feel before you can accept that you've arrived. Sometimes it's just quiet. I tell you guys all the time, I am is subtle, it's quiet. That's why sometimes you won't be able to hear it if you're out here looking at for this massive sign to show up. It's in that quiet, it's in that ease, it's in that peace, right? So it's just quiet, less reaction, less interest, and that's enough. And maybe you'll still notice those old thoughts, but they won't hit the same way because you've realized you're not checking for that validation as much. Or maybe you just even feel a little lighter, and that's all the proof that you need. That's the movement that you that you're experiencing. So trust that as long as you keep disengaging, that reality is already shifting and moving on your behalf. Remember, when you don't show it any effort or any reaction, remember the 3D shifts around your state of being and who you're deciding that you are. So if you don't give all this importance out here, then everything is just going to shift around you, you guys. You have to trust that, right? So the last thing, above all, you guys, choose that freedom over familiarity. And here's the real question you have to ask yourself, do you want to be free, or do you want to feel safe in what's familiar? And because real transformation requires choosing freedom, and you have to choose it over and over and over and over again, even when the old story tries to pull you back, you have to choose that freedom over that comfortableness or that familiar engagement with your SP, that feeling to want to argue, that feeling to want to tell yourself that you're not abundant, that feeling to tell yourself that you're not loved. You have to go in the other direction, guys, right? It's a decision. It's just a simple decision to say, not today, not anymore. I choose something new, right? So I say all this to say that losing interest in an old story isn't about forcing yourself to let go. It's just about realizing that you don't care anymore. So stop making this old story, especially one that you don't want, stop making it a big deal. Allow it to be boring. It should be boring. It should irritate you that, you keep giving it all this attention. It should piss you off, right? Let it be that background noise, and before you know it, it won't be a part of your life anymore. So let's get down and chat about it in the comments. Let me know which one of these really assisted you. And yeah, you guys, make sure that you go to the description box below to check out my masterclasses that are coming up, plus working with me one on one. Anything that you need to know is in the description box below. And I will see you guys in my next video. Remember, imagination is on your side, and I am too. Bye.